good evening from a very sunny Chișinău, Moldova, and welcome to this evening's live stream. You probably hear some music in the background. There's a concert going on there further down the street, actually very close to where I've been staying. And it has been 1 month that I have been in this country. I put it there in the title, Magical Moldova. Always got to get the alliteration going when you're creating a title for a video. So in today's live stream, to which you can write your comments and questions down below as I go through my presentation at the beginning, I'm going to discuss my experience over the last month here in Moldova, so that if you are considering coming here or to somewhere else in this broader region, that you're able to weigh up, number one, if this is a good country for you to bother even coming to at all, whether for a short trip or for longer term, and whether, if you do come, what kind of steps should you take now and when you arrive that will make your experience here a lot more enriching. So if you're new to this channel, my name is Conor. I help high-level men with living their dream lifestyles in a region that I dub New Europe, which is basically the countries between Germany and Russia. So you have countries like the 3 Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, Poland, here in Moldova, Ukraine, the obvious caveat that it's a country, the biggest war in Europe since World War II. I have been based in Ukraine from 2020 to 2022 with COVID, lockdowns, and all that shenanigans that went on. And also Kazakhstan, a country to which I will be returning in the autumn with a client. So, first question, because in the last live stream, apparently there was some issue that when I listened to it back, and many of you brought up after the live stream with the audio. If you cannot hear me clearly, please write in the comments already, since it's not very helpful when I see it after the recording, but I'm using this device with respect to having a lavalier mic, so sometimes, occasionally, it doesn't work so well. Hey Luke, I see Wayne there. What's up? Bună seara. I know that you are in Bucharest. So, since I last spoke to you a month ago, I should say also that we've had an issue with my the video editing and an external hard drive breaking, but hopefully, and then my editor went holidays, so hopefully we get that back working again next week, and we'll have plenty of new content on this channel, not just the live streams but also videos. I'll have a summer vlog from here in Moldova. I've filmed, I guess, most of it at this point. I'll hopefully finish it up within the next week, and then some other podcast episodes focusing on this country and a lot about if you move here, business, and also in the next month or so we'll be back in Warsaw, finish up a vlog from Poland that I started 2 years ago but never finished, and also go back to Riga, hopefully that's the plan anyways, and finish up a Riga spring summer vlog as well. So all that great content coming on the channel. Make sure obviously you're subscribed and hit the notification bell if that's the kind of content that you were interested in being notified about. So in addition to what's coming up, if you're planning a trip here to Moldova, I have a guidebook down below in the description of the video. You can purchase it. No one, I am absolutely certain, actually 2 other people who I see made some videos in the past about Moldova suddenly produced guidebooks. But anyways, I actually read one of them because there was in a cafe. It's a different style to mine, but basically in mine you're going to get my recommendations for hospitality in Chișinău. It's all the best cafes, bars, clubs, shisha lounges, and restaurants. It took me a hell of a lot of time and eating lots of delicious Moldovan food to produce that guide. It's actually still 2 places I need to go to, and I will go this coming week, and then I will close off the new version of the guide. On top of that, there's obviously logistical advice about coming here, a little bit about the history of Moldova. I'll also go into that today in today's video, and also I have a review of the 10 best vineyards in this country, because Moldova is really famous for its wine. It is amazing here, I have to say. As is the weather and the climate, definitely at this time of year, compared to, say, the Baltic states where I spent the winter, where I can see on Instagram that it hasn't been a great summer there, unfortunately, but here in Moldova it's been pretty phenomenal. We've only had 2 or 3 days where it's even rained at all in the last 5 weeks, and it's basically been between high 20s Celsius to mid 30s. We did have one day where it's 40 degrees Celsius. So anyways, that guide is down below. If you come here, it's kind of a no-brainer. It will save you literally, probably if you're coming on a trip up to a month, it will save you a huge amount of time. Maybe if you have 6 months to check out every restaurant like I did, then you can form your own opinion without the guide. But yeah, if you're coming for any less, for sure, go get that guide, because literally I went to over 100 establishments in order to produce it. So unless you want to replicate that, and ChatGPT, I even checked, it isn't very helpful when you are trying to figure out the best places. So definitely a guide book is the way to go on that. So that is that point. If you want to come here, as one of my clients did with me 3 weeks ago, and have an unforgettable up to a week in a city like Chișinău, can also be in the Baltic states, so up in Vilnius, Riga and Tallinn, also Warsaw, also Almaty and Astana in Kazakhstan. Then down below in the description is a link to my New Europe experience, my in-person experience, where you will get access to me and my encyclopedic knowledge of this region, and we will go out and we will have an unforgettable week that will set you up, particularly if you want to come and spend more time in this region. It will just accelerate that learning process, and of course we'll go out and party hard with the beautiful women of this city, if it happens to be Chișinău, but other places if that is your choice, your preference. And in fact, the client that came, he wasn't interested in moving here, but he still had a fantastic time. He's a guy who spent a lot of time in Ukraine before, and yeah, we just had a blast the 4 days, to be frank. So when in preparation to this live stream, I was saying that maybe Chișinău is not the spot, especially if you're a single guy, if you come for a weekend. But and he had definitely a highly enjoyable weekend, in spite of the fact he was only here for 4 days. He loved it, and for him it was really brought back memories of being in Ukraine. It's the closest thing you're going to get, but actually having to go there and sit under Russian rocket attack and drone attack, as has been the case in Odessa Mama the last few days, where there have been a lot of Shaheeds landing in apartment buildings, tragically, with Russian terrorism there. So if you want to avoid that, this is a pretty good alternative. I'll be going in my presentation, but I'm about to start, I'll be giving you an overview of the pluses and minuses so you can make a better judgment about what is for you. In any case, if you want to come here and live that experience with me, have me as your mentor for here, then there's an application form down below, a link to that in the description to this live stream, because it's by application only. Also, I will have a client coming with me to Ukraine, which is obviously a different experience in light of the Russo-Ukrainian war. So you can either fill out the same form and just say that you're interested in Ukraine, although obviously the format will be different. Ukraine has a curfew in most of it except for Zakarpatsky Oblast, and obviously you have the very obvious danger of Russian attacks on the cities that we might go to, so you have to be okay with all of that, or willing to take the risk. And obviously it will be for a different setup. Most of my clients who go to Ukraine nowadays are more interested in real estate and getting a visa, and normally already have a Ukrainian partner, shall we say, so wife, girlfriend, or fiance. So, although this client doesn't actually, so I guess we will be doing some socializing. But if that is your only interest, is coming to Ukraine just to chase girls, I would definitely recommend not doing that, because I actually had a call with a guy who had been pitched by one of the dodgy matchmakers to go there, and after listening to Spiel was, you okay with being in a country where you may see terrorist attacks occur? Like Russia can blow up, maybe they won't hit you, but they might blow up the building in front of you. You might see bodies strewn about at a minimum. And he was like, no, then why the hell are you thinking of coming to Ukraine? Just go if you're interested in Ukrainian women. You can meet lots of them in Poland or somewhere else in Europe. They are obviously, there's a huge diaspora nowadays. That is not a reason to come to Ukraine, just to make that clear. However, if you are interested in supporting Ukrainian people, taking an interest in this very tragic time, then please feel free to write me and we can discuss whether it's a good fit or not. So that's just the housekeeping out of the way, and let's discuss Moldova over the last month. As you see, the weather, as I've already alluded to, is absolutely fantastic. I'm sitting out in the sun because everyone else is sitting in the shade. They took all the benches here in this park. Got the cathedral, actually show you where I am. Got the cathedral here, and yeah, the flowers and the plants that they have arranged there, and that is something that is quite noticeable. Actually, we had another client here yesterday, a long-term consulting client, and he'd been to Chișinău before, even in the last while, but he hadn't spent any time. He spent some time here. I think he said it was like, I think at least 8 years ago, and he was pretty shocked yesterday walking around the center because it looked so nice. He said it didn't even look like the same city that he remembered. So definitely this country has come a long way, and just every summer it gets a little bit better in terms of what they've done in terms of beautifying the city center, so it is extremely pleasant. And let me start with the negatives maybe about Moldova, because I'm here for 1 month, and then we can get those out of the way and speak about the positives. Because I've met, not only did my client come and hang out, and we obviously spent a few days where we socialized quite a lot, and I've been hanging out with my friends here who are Moldovan. I've also hung out with some guys who live here who are foreigners. Some from Latin America actually appeared in one of them is actually a content creator in the Spanish language, so I appeared in his content speaking in Spanish spontaneously there the other day. And I also met a British guy who I alluded to in the previous live stream, who actually left because he was disappointed with his experience here. So I have a lot of reference experience specific to this summer. And I would say the downsides for a lot of foreign guys who are thinking of coming here is Moldova is a pretty small country. By the way, you can come here visa-free with most of the passports probably you have if you're watching this video. So if you're American or Western European or European at all, you can come here visa-free 90 days every 180. It's a country with a population of about 2.6 million, so quite small. A lot of Moldovans live abroad, many, probably about half the population has an EU passport, normally Romanian. So it has an absolutely enormous diaspora. And it is probably the least visited country by tourists in Europe. It's located between Romania and Ukraine. The population of its capital here is about 650,000 people, and I looked it up. So not a massive metropolis. I would say that the downsides to that are that if you're looking for very specific products to have them delivered or to buy them locally, maybe certain cosmetics, maybe for the fashion, if you're thinking of doing some clothes shopping, probably not the spot. And you'd want to think of doing that before, or if you stay here for a long time, maybe taking a trip somewhere else. There's no big shopping malls that are very glamorous in the city center. There are some around the outskirts of the city. There's actually a new one being built. The airport is not great at all. And apparently they have a bit of a capacity issue because so many Ukrainians now use the airport. We're close to Odessa. We're about 4 to 5 hours bus trip that you can take straight from the airport to Odessa. And as a result, they really don't have enough capacity at the airport, and it's quite a bit unpleasant there with just the number of people, even in the early morning. They will, in due course, build a new airport, but how many years is that going to be before it's open? So for purposes of the short to medium term, the airport is hard. There are not so many flights, and they're already at capacity for what I can see. So not the best connectivity. Also coming here by train or by bus from somewhere else, pretty difficult. You've just got Romania. And one of my clients has taken a bus, overnight bus, to come here from Bucharest. So again, not exactly glamorous. Level of English. And if you're here at a restaurant, a cafe in the center, they're going to understand when you order stuff. It's not like no one speaks any English at all. And young people educated under 25, like in a lot of places in Europe, they will be able to have basic conversations. However, it's not a city that gets a lot of tourism. So in general, a lot of people have left, and they're probably the ones who are more interested in learning English for their own career development, for prospects. So in general, I would say that it's definitely a lot lower in terms of the level of English compared to most of Europe, definitely compared to Romania, and compared to the Baltic states or Poland. No, it's definitely way lower. So just be aware of that. But it won't be a problem if you're just doing touristic stuff, but it will be a bigger issue if you decide to move for, say, 3 months to Moldova. So I'd say that's a negative. The official language here is Romanian. It's a pretty easy language to learn though, relative to others. Maybe slightly harder than Spanish. A lot of guys learn Spanish in school, so that would be what I would say. Russian is widely spoken, and that obviously takes a lot longer. I'd say it takes at least twice as long to learn Russian than Romanian. You may be able to use Russian somewhere else that you go, like Kazakhstan, where I'll be going pretty soon in 2 months, where it's also an official language, a little bit spoken also in the Baltics, southern Ukraine, but it's self-declining importance. So that's a personal decision to make. But say you wanted to learn Romanian, it could be a spot, or you wanted to practice your Russian, like my client yesterday speaks Russian, so that is kind of cool for him to be able to use it here in addition to English. Other things I will say that are a disadvantage, what else can I say? Now I'm going to struggle. In terms of, since my audience is men, 99%, and normally single men, not always, but so I would say in terms of the dating scene here, if you're a single guy, on a European level, very attractive. The Moldovans are not marketed for their beauty, unlike Russians and Ukrainians, but it is pretty similar. Maybe the thing to point out is that there tends to be a bit more brown hair and maybe darker complexion slightly than in Ukraine, as there is more of a mixture with Romanians here historically. If I compare it to Odessa, it's not actually a massive difference in terms of the way men and women look. I would say overall maybe it's just very slightly more Romanian. It's also Odessa Oblast had a lot of people of similar background to here. There was Bessarabia at one point, so you just have a lot of people here who are also got relatives and ancestors who are from Ukraine, maybe Russia, maybe somewhere else in the region. A lot of in addition to Romanians, also a significant number of Bulgarians, Gagavuz, which are a Turkic minority in the country, that are in general Orthodox Christians. So that's what I'll say about the aesthetic in terms of like the overall beauty level. Very little obesity. It's extremely rare to see a Moldovan, maybe a little bit more men slightly, but Moldovan women under the age of 35, it's very rare that they're overweight, never mind obese. So that's already a game changer compared to many countries in the core Anglosphere. And I would say if we compare to Ukraine and Russia, since they're on the other side, I would say that Moldovans, they're actually known in Romania for their beauty. That is the one place, I guess, they got a big reputation, because a lot of them obviously go there as well, for university, for example, or to work in neighboring Romania, because they already speak the same language in general. And yeah, I would say they are definitely aesthetically better looking on average than, say, Romanians. I would say that scale we use 1 to 10, probably a point higher even. And perhaps just not quite as good looking as you're going to see in Ukraine. Although Ukraine has a little bit more of a variation, I would say, just at the very top level in Ukraine. You have extreme beauty, and yeah, maybe at the lower end, maybe a little bit of more ugliness, to put it in politely. So yeah, I would say that's the way it is. You definitely will see a little bit more of the uber hotties in Ukraine compared to you know, if you go to Odessa compared to in Chișinău. One other difference is there's a little less of the bloated lips, the lip injection fillers, and yeah, other plastic enhancements here. They're not completely absent, but compared to Odessa, for sure. And personally, that's not to my taste. I don't like lip fillers and plastic surgery. I prefer natural beauty personally. It's my preference, maybe a different preference. So for me, that is actually a plus to Chișinău in that sense. And in terms of an opening to maybe, the culture is very similar to Ukraine. So if you've been to Ukraine and you understand Ukrainian culture, then you can just kind of just say it's broadly the same, which is not the same with Romania, for example. I think culturally this country is a lot closer to Ukraine because of its more recent history. Women tend to be a bit more reserved than you're going to be used to if you're from the US or UK. while people drink alcohol here, and sometimes quite a lot, you don't expect to see girls in public absolutely smashed that much, smashed drunk, and yeah, probably less sexually emancipated than in the US or the UK, and definitely less financially emancipated. Here you need to be the man with the plan, and if you're inviting a girl out, then for sure you will be organizing the date and paying for it. It is exactly like in Ukraine in that sense. So if you don't like that, then it's probably going to have an issue for you if you come here. If you have no problem with that, or you even enjoy that, then this is a plus point. And yeah, things like the divorce rate, same as Ukraine, super high, by the way. So if any of those dodgy matchmakers start saying they're all traditional here, ignore them, as you should ignore their fake descriptions of Ukrainians. They are moderate here, and yeah, just a bit more conservative, probably a little less promiscuous slightly, and then say in the more Anglosphere, a little less tattoos. What else to say? And here in Chișinău, one of my clients was actually here organizing citizenship because he has ancestry from Moldova. His only real complaint, and he speaks fluent Russian because his parents spoke to him in Russian when he was younger, so he's kind of treated like a local. Anyways, he's entitled to citizenship here, so he is basically Moldovan, just has to be formally processed. His only complaint about Moldova was, he said that he found it a little bit small after a while, and he didn't want to live here all year round, which is fair enough, but he still used up his 90 days visa-free. I think maybe at least once, if not twice. So, but he said that his biggest issue on the dating side was more that most girls that he met and was attracted to were already in a relationship. So just bear that in mind. Like if you go to Odessa right now, you're gonna have a lot of Ukrainians, not so many foreigners, but a lot of Ukrainians traveling down on a summer holiday, and if they're single, they're gonna be out partying, and it's probably gonna be pretty easy to meet them, have a summer fling, or maybe something more long term. You just have to meet when people are more open. But definitely the concentration of being single is a lot higher there because the nature of the city in the summer than it's going to be here in Chișinău. So just bear that in mind, that a lot of the girls you meet might actually already be in relationships and not open to dating someone else. I think if you are around here quite a lot, if you're a foreigner, I don't think there's much issue. I don't think it's a negative. Some people are going to prefer you, some people a little less, but in general, if you hang out here and you're a foreigner, especially if you speak Romanian or Russian, it's probably going to be a plus. Probably going to get a little bit of a boost, but it's not going to be massive. And if you're a tourist, well, sadly, it's probably going to be an issue for you. My client who came with me was not really here with a tourist because he was with me. So he had that, I guess, visual reinforcement that he's in the region often. He's not just, some romance tourist or something like that, or some wife hunter roaming around desperately searching for a wife in Moldova, or a guy who's just staying here for the weekend trying to get his rocks off with anything that moves, anything with a pulse. So as long as you can avoid that, you should be pretty good to go. But you need to definitely invest in social circle. I would say that is a huge thing here, being known and other people vouching for you. Actually, I once forgot my phone. I never carry my wallet because I don't really need cash here. That's another thing in Moldova, you don't really need cash. And actually went to the restaurant. I'd already ordered because they know my order, because I like the same stuff at this restaurant. And then when he came with my glass of wine, it was like, man, I forgot my phone, because I only noticed when I went to play with my phone or to watch something on YouTube. And he's like, don't worry about it, just pay me next time I come in. So yeah, since I'm already known, I actually bumped into another guy yesterday with a group of very attractive women, and the fact that he already recognizes me and he introduced himself already, then obviously the women, it obviously raises your value. So it's very important here, I feel, the social circle aspect. So if you come, say, with one or two buddies, you're going to hang out and do it yourself kind of trip. Going to be a little bit tricky, especially if you don't speak Russian or Romanian. It's going to be hard here. You're not going to be taken too seriously. That's what the feedback I get. So maybe since I'm going to do the negative stuff first, we talk about the British guy who I met. He actually came up to me in a wine bar. It'd be 5 weeks ago at this point, because it was over a month ago. And yeah, he left and went to Budapest. I guess it just wasn't for him here. Although you write me that he's missing Chișinău, especially the ladies of Chișinău since. But we had a coffee after you've been, you know, maybe 2 weeks later or something. I just happened to bump into him when I was walking around, and he struggled a bit, I think, to make friends here because he doesn't speak Russian or Romanian, and he was hanging out at the co-working space. He works online, and he struggled to build up the social. I think it was one of the big factors why he left. He had friends already in Budapest, so he went there. He went on a few dates, tried to use the dating apps. Just to insert that now, I think dating apps just overall are well past their heyday, and online dating in general is pretty weak, even though the stats say that, you know, majority of people now in the US meet online, but it's not quality there. The people who are more desirable use online dating less and less. They are meeting people at most on Instagram, if we want to call it online dating, but normally they're meeting people in real life at events. So by going out and socializing. So if you're someone who struggles with your ability to socialize, you really need to get that squared away. And yeah, I mean, I guess if you came with me here, I would be able to correct that in real time and definitely make some big inroads into that, but you definitely have to get out and socialize. The whole idea that you're going to go, like the whole matchmaker thing here for, I don't want to refer to it too much because I think it's just like passe at this point, but there was guys who were using it obviously when my channel was based in Ukraine a few years ago, more and more, and that, you know, I already made a video saying it's basically dead. It seems to have spluttered along. I do that annual video with Yelena to see what's up with it, but basically it's increasingly focusing on a very narrow niche of guys who have this like Ukrainian traditional bride fetish, who are, in my opinion, mainly deluded about what it's really like here, and then a small number of women who are normally 35 plus, single moms, maybe even boss babes, got a career, so struggling to meet men and already living in Western Europe normally, but struggling to meet men. So that is kind of the lowest form of online dating. And you have like the Tinder or dating apps. I have actually on my Revolut card, to see I have it for free, so I could open it up, but at this point with my clients, we very rarely that they use it. Of course you can still meet people, and this thing is impossible, but just the level of desirability there is not going to be very high from the guy's point of view. And basically it's there's lots of reasons why it has issues, like mainly it's men on the app, so you're basically competing with a very small pool of women, and it's usually women with less options who go there, or maybe you get lucky that some girl breaks up with her boyfriend, uses it for a few days, who's, you know, more desirable. But that's the reality. So I don't recommend them overall as a strategy, especially if you're going to spend lots of time here. You need to build up your social circle, be able to approach people in real life. Obviously not do the day game malarkey, that embarrassing scene we see outside the train station in Warsaw and in that mall, where they're basically a public nuisance. A lot of weird guys coming up with lines and pestering girls outside. Obviously none of that rubbish. But, you know, you're in a cafe, you're in a bar, you're in a restaurant, you're at the gym, you're on your way somewhere and you see someone who's attractive, that you're able to open a conversation and see if it goes somewhere. So that is what I recommend on that front. So he did try using the apps, but didn't really get in. We had he said a date or two, but that was about it. And he wasn't very impressed by it compared to real life. And the lack of speaking Russian or Romanian seems to have been, in addition to, you know, he doesn't have a regular job here where he's meeting colleagues and part of the social circle. He's not at the university. That seems to be the real struggle, and that's why he chose to move to Budapest. So I personally would make that decision and move to Budapest over here. I think this is a lot more enjoyable city. But maybe the one plus point is Budapest is a bit bigger, got nicer architecture. I should say that. Also, the architecture is not very nice in Chișinău overall, but parks are compensating a little bit. So yeah, that's one story where it didn't work out for someone. I think that if he had learned the language, obviously it would have been a game changer, or if he had a cool social circle, because I do meet some foreigners here who don't speak Romanian or Russian, but they are in pretty strong social circles. They are limited by the fact they don't speak the local language, but they can still, you know, make guy friends and meet women that are of interest to them. So that's what I'll say on that. But his experience, my client just had an absolute ball. We went to my favorite spots that I thought would be good for him. He had no problem interacting, meeting women here, and also we hung out with some of my guy friends as well, who are high status in the city, which is interesting to him as well. a little bit. Well, we're also at the club with us. And yeah, he just enjoyed the vibe, hanging out in the cafes, smoking a shisha, and really reminded him of summertime in Odessa without the seaside. I guess that's another negative point about Chișinău, there's no sea. You'll have to go to Odessa for that. Personally, I like the sea, so I'm dying to get back to Odessa. Yeah, so that's what I'll say on those points in terms of the negative and the positive. I think if you are a guy who already speaks, I mean, why come to Moldova? Food is amazing. I think personally, just really great produce here. You got it. Maybe, but the wine is amazing. The food is good. It's improving all the time. Selection of restaurants is excellent at this point. I haven't even got through all of them again. Huge number of good cafes. Getting a good coffee here is no problem. I love coffee. Bit of a coffee addict. So I would say for that kind of stuff, for like the food, healthy, organic, good array of dining options, nightlife, pretty cool. You have the kind of more upscale swanky clubs. You have a few rooftop bars, are also swanky and high end. You have the more intellectual, say, cocktail bars. You have electronic music parties all throughout the summer. Some of them are free. That can be a little bit hit and miss because there's no face control. But still, there's a lot of fun there. And then there's others that are, paid, that you have to pay to enter, that are not quite in the center. You might have to travel somewhere else by taxi, but also very good vibe. And yeah, it's a country on the up. It's a candidate to join the European Union. The target date is 2030, probably after that date, but they're on their way there. The economy is improving. The trajectory of the country is positive. There is geopolitical risk with Russia, not quite as a neighbor, but there is a part of Moldova that is de facto separatist, and that is called Transnistria, which is just down the road in Tiraspol. And I personally don't go there, so I can't really report too much on what it's like now. Some other YouTubers were detained and had their footage deleted after being interrogated for a few hours, so not really interesting going to promote that part of the country. However, at a certain point, it will probably de facto unite with the rest of Moldova again, and this problem will be removed probably in the next couple of years. And Russia as a threat, well, there are elections coming up in 2 months, but a pro-European Union party majorities in the parliament, I think that's probably the end of the ability of Russia to influence Moldova through the ballot box. And yeah, I guess there's a small risk they would try coup d'etat, but to overthrow the government. But I think the Moldovans are pretty wise to that threat. So I would see it as a low probability, since the Russian forces are stuck in eastern Ukraine basically, so they can't reach here to try and overthrow the government and annex it basically. Moldovan opposition politician who is in cahoots with Russia last week called for Moldova to be annexed, so I think we can lay to rest what the real designs are, but that's pretty obvious to anyone with half a brain cell. That's what they would do after installing a puppet government. So any other things I should say about Moldova? I feel like in my last live stream went into a lot about the wine, just really amazing. It's like a national pastime here. Just there's so many vineyards. I think there's over 250 that offer wine tasting or a tour. This country is not a very big country. I've been to 10 of them, and I will go to some next week. Also want to go and film at Albania sauna outdoors. I found one that looks very nice. Also a pool club. And yeah, what else can I say about business? I mean, I spoke to local businessmen and foreigners who invest here. They're all very positive. I'll have more content coming on that. In terms of if you want to invest in Moldova, real estate has grown quite a lot. So maybe it's a bit of a bubble, we have to see at the moment. If you want to stay more than 90 days, you need to get a visa, basically. Well, there's also a bit of a workaround as well for some guys that you might be able to stay here without a visa. And there's actually some rumors, but they haven't been confirmed, that pretty soon they may extend the visa-free access to Europeans, maybe even Americans. Let's see. Talk about security, safety. I'm not sure how much people really care, except for other YouTubers rambling on about it all the time, but because you can always choose to live in a safe part of the city if you're willing to pay for it. But here in Chișinău, I'm sure somewhere there are bad parts to it, but I've never been there. So I can't really say I've been anywhere I felt even the slightest bit intimidated. Sometimes there are really drunk guys at these parties where there's no face control, but I don't think I've ever seen any violence there, at least not in the last few years. And walking around the city center at night seems pretty safe. Girls walk around alone. That's normally a sign that it's pretty safe in general. So maybe there's a bit of begging, but that's more public nuisance than really a threat of anything. Yeah, so I think safety is pretty, you know, I was commenting earlier in the week to someone who has commented on my videos, but he has a public profile, so he didn't want me to say who he is exactly. And yeah, I sent him some stats on prison population in the UK, because 4 of the 5 top foreign nationalities to be in a British prison are from this region. So Romania was there, Poland was there, Albania was there, and Lithuania was there. And Lithuania is a small country, so yeah. But when you go to those countries yourself, I can't really comment on Albania because it's been a few years since I've been in Albania, but it's so safe. So I think the criminals all left and went rob people in the UK or somewhere else in Western Europe. So that's obviously meant that it's ended up being a lot safer here for some reason. And yeah, it's just pretty tranquil at night, and no need to really take any additional precautions if you come to Moldova. Maybe just have the taxi apps installed on your phone, like Let's, L-E-T-Z is one of them that I use. And before you land in the airports, especially if you land at night, yeah, there'll be taxi hawkers outside and they'll charge you 3 times the real price. But okay, other than that, it's not a safety precaution. It's more like don't overpay for the taxi. Yeah, there's even a bus in from the airport if you really want to save money. And public transport, yeah, the bus system you can use. You can pay by card in most of them if you don't have any local cash. Yeah, you really don't need cash so much here. You can almost pay for everything by card, and it's 6 lei for a bus trip, which is, the exchange rate is about 1 to 20 with the euro, so it's about 30 euro cents, so we'll say 35 US dollar cents for a trip on a local bus. They're fine. A lot of them are from Western Europe, just the older buses that they repurpose and send here. And yeah, there's no metro or anything like that, so it's a little bit rudimentary, but it's not terrible or anything. With the trolley buses, it's fine to travel. Some of them even have air conditioning, which is necessary. I guess if you get one without air conditioning, it's good and plus, but you can basically zip around the city. Google Maps kind of works. Sometimes it's gotten wrong the route when I've gotten on a bus, unfortunately, but in general it's yeah, it's pretty good. And they're also putting up boards so you can see the next bus is coming on many of the bus stops, not all of them. So I'd say that works pretty well. Otherwise, take a taxi, use the taxi app. It's pretty cheap to go around. I should have said that as well. Cost of living, it's not a passport pro destination, so it's not super cheap. It's not going to be Southeast Asia or Latin America. Nor are the women super easy to pick up if you're coming in with your passport waving it. I mean, most of them have, about half of them have Romanian passports, and it's possibly even strong, almost as strong as an American passport. So definitely, this is no place for the passport pros to show up. And I actually like that because there's a bit more of a barrier to entry once prices are not rock bottom. And yeah, I always look at my coffee because it's something I basically drink as standard. I like coffee a lot, and Caffeista, is that what you say? I don't know. An aficionado of coffee. And here it cost me €3.35. So about, what is that, about $3.60, $3.70 for my flat white. In comparison, in Ireland it's probably €4.50 to €5, and in going to be the same in a lot of parts of Western Europe. In Odessa it's €2.10 because Ukraine is a lot cheaper. And in Warsaw these days I was paying like €4.30, €4.80. There is one place here where a lot of attractive ladies happen to go in the day for coffee and to do a cheeky selfie for their Instagram, and there is €3.80, so you have to pay 50-cent premium. But it does have a lot of attractive women going there, so good for the attractive women. They want to hang out there and be seen, and then for the lads who want to talk to them, I guess it's also a good spot. But in general, it's about that 3:30 mark. So there you see, it's not going to be like going to the Philippines in many ways, and definitely not price-wise. So don't come here and think that it's going to be pennies on the pound. It's going to be, yeah, whatever it is, that works out probably 30-40% cheaper than in Western Europe. Airbnb, I stayed in quite a nice one. It's about 40 to 50 euros a night. I will say 40 to 60. There's a few high-end hotels. There's one just over there, the Radisson. And you also have Birds Hotel. I guess it's normally should be between 200 to 350 euros a night, depending on the time of year and the availability. So that's what I'll say about all that stuff. And yeah, overall, it's like being in Ukraine, just different national language, like a regional variation, slightly, in the way people look maybe as well. And yeah, I mean, culture is very similar to Ukraine, with better wine. So, but no seaside. That's it. That's the way it breaks down. Let me see if there's anything else I want to put in at this point. Yeah. Keep your questions coming. I will come to them in a few minutes. Yeah, I guess another thing which ties into why this British guy maybe didn't enjoy it, there aren't so many foreigners just hanging out looking to hang out with other foreigners. It's not a huge scene. There is an IT park here. I will be making more content on that. So it's a little bit maybe limited if you just arrive and you're not plugged in, you don't have contacts, you don't speak the languages. So just be aware of that it's not going to be like, a lot of these guys go to Warsaw and just hang out with each other from what I see. A lot of these online digital nomad types, but probably isn't a big enough scene for that. And from what I see in these groups, it's kind of like they don't all hang out just together, which is a good thing. They have a lot of local friends. Most of the guys who I met were businessmen here. They're kind of hanging around, kind of 50-50, which is what I would say is a good mix. Not to be in these kind of foreigner bubbles like you see a lot in Warsaw, which is kind of the main hub in the region. Anything else that's been going on the last week before I come to your comments and your questions? Yeah, hang out here for a good amount of time. Build up a social circle, very important nowadays. Social circle becomes more and more important. It's also something I help my clients with a lot. Drifter Dan, if he comes to, I don't know, I haven't been able to really see the screen if he's been here trolling us. He writes me enough messages that I do read. I don't answer him anymore. That's reserved for these live streams. He went to Turkey and hung out there for 3 months. And one thing about this region that he makes that's a fair point is like there's no Soho House, which is kind of a private club basically for creatives and often people work in finance who can afford it basically. And yeah, most people there would speak English, and it's a cool spot. I've hung out myself, but there's none in this region. There's none in Warsaw. I guess at some point they'll build one in Warsaw. And he went to one in Istanbul because his friend who was with, I guess it's in Soho House, got him in. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, living in Istanbul over here, I've been to Istanbul maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, it's just not my scene. But yeah, it's a big international city. I mean, it's massive in terms of its population. It has some good things going for it, but in general, just not my cultural preference. Turkey, there are some Turkish guys who come here. I actually met a Turkish guy who's been living here. Actually, he's one of the foreigners I met here. And he was with a friend who was Danish, who spent a couple of years here and now moved to New York. And he said he really misses Chișinău, especially since he's single. So there you go. If you're staying long term and you've already got a network, as I said, that's pretty good. Anything else that came up? Yeah, some Moldovan women who watch my content. Kind of was interesting correlate to a conversation I was having with one of the guys who's on my old program for moving to Ukraine during the week. Is like there's this thing that women get cheered on, especially in, let's say, the poor Anglosphere. They go and explore, travel, find themselves. Whilst if men do that, they kind of get chastised, right? So you can think of the film as, I've never actually watched it. I think I watched the beginning and then got bored. The Uber chick flick, Pray, Eat, Love, is that what it's called? Maybe I got the order mixed up with the words. And there you have a woman who comes to Italy, basically has these romantic encounters, and it's all kind of celebrated as finding herself. But if you do that as a guy, then apparently that gets chastised by certain members of society, normally radical feminists and male feminists, that you're exploiting the women. Anyways, this woman came up to me, but she seemed to have a bit of trauma from 10 years ago. She'd been living in Germany, and she said, oh, you're going to attract all these low-value guys to come to Moldova, and then they will exploit the women. I was like, what are you rambling about? First of all, the girls are, in general, like it's not a a Filipino island where people are destitute and a bit desperate, obviously desperate for a better way of life here. I mean, if you're a low value guy, I say you probably shouldn't come to this region because it's going to be a struggle for you. That's why I say it's not for passport bros. The broader region is really just not a good idea. You're going to struggle. You're probably going to get scammed in certain parts of the region and probably have very little luck. So for low value guys, yeah, you need to have yourself put together, some prospects, basic grooming, work to yourself. You can't be obese or overweight and all this kind of stuff, or dressed disheveled and all the obvious stuff that you'd have anywhere, right? So, but anyways, my basic point to her was, well, so what if Moldovan even if they wanted the low value guys, what's the problem? And both sides would be happy with that connection. So I found it a bit odd and kind of a double standard, but this is kind of common that you will see a lot. And I think she just had some trauma, but I can only speculate as to what it was. Maybe she met some guy from Germany who didn't turn out to be as cool when she went to Germany with him afterwards. And I hear that a lot from Ukrainian girls, that they met guys who used to come to Odessa, for example, back in the day, and they seemed like, I guess, high rollers, and they were fun because they were on their kind of holiday. And then when they went to hang out with them in their home country, they were very disappointed by the kind of lifestyle they lived, and they felt actually they weren't as high value or as interesting as they made out to be. Maybe that's what you meant, but it kind of dovetailed into this other conversation about how if you're a guy and you say, yeah, I'm in this X country partly because the dating options are better for me, then that gets frowned upon as somehow exploitative, whilst when women do it, it's seen as I've seen in a very positive way. There's just something that's definitely a double standard that it seems a bit arbitrary, so I would ignore anyone telling you that you shouldn't, because anyway, socioeconomic, we always have hypergamy, whether it's cross-cultural, women tend to date crossing up the socioeconomic hierarchies, so that also applies to Moldova as much as it applies to Ireland or to United States. And here I'd say the economic part is more important, since women are less economically emancipated than they're going to be in a place like New York, for example. Was there anything else? I mentioned all these guys, my client, what I'll be filming, summer vlog from here, and real life event communities. Yeah, I think that's everything. I don't really want to talk about the whole matchmaking malarkey. I came across, is there any other interesting videos? Yeah, the coverage on YouTube in general. My channel is the only channel that shows you, I think, a fair reflection of what's like Moldova. You could say even make it look nicer than it really is, because every other video on YouTube basically presents this place as some sort of post-Soviet dump and focuses on Hotel Nacional that for some reason hasn't been knocked down, and then they must turn their cameras off as they go the next 2 kilometers where everything looks nice, and then they turn it back on when they find something that's smashed up again. So they have a lot of this poverty porn. It was kind of, I guess to a certain extent, piloted by Bald and Bankrupt and Ben Rich, because he came here and he made actually a pretty fair enough video at the time that a lot of the underpasses were smashed up, and the money basically had been misappropriated. That should have gone to making the city look nice. And in the meantime, that problem is to a large extent taken care of itself, because the city is really, really nice. So I'll say as a summary, well, who should come here, who shouldn't. So I think someone who has maybe a bit of regional experience, preferably speaks one of the, either the official language Romanian or speaks some Russian, understands the basics of the culture here, is of high value. So, if we're talking about from a dating point of view, that means the type of guy that women choose to a certain extent. You don't have to be a 10 out of 10, but you can't be coming as a 3 expecting beautiful Moldovan women to be interested in you. It is 2025. It is not 1995. So yeah, that's kind of pointless if you're really so low value and you can't get a date back home. You think you're going to show up in Moldova with no local social circle, no local language skills, and walk around with your passport and your money, which, you're just, at best you're going to attract a gold digger or probably relieve you of your cash, and that will be about it. So if you are someone who's curious about the region, want the Ukraine experience without the Russian terror attacks, then this is a pretty good substitute, I would say. Just realized it's a bit small, and yeah, to have some fun in the summer, party a little bit, socialize, drink some amazing Moldovan wine, go and see also some of the architectural sites that are more in the, they're north of here, or Hevek. It's pretty nice. There's also along the river Transnistria. There's lots of nice restaurants now. I need to go out there as well. And yeah, hang out with some friendly Moldovans. And if you're single and you invest a bit of time, you will get a great return on your investment, because the guy I'm going to interview tomorrow, he has his current girlfriend's actually from Odessa. So she's not Moldovan, but he had Moldovan girlfriends in the past. He's been here for a few years. Also his friend is also a Latino. There were two Latinos. And yeah, he's been dating local girls here as well. And they said it was a bit of a struggle in the beginning until they got their bearings, built up a social circle, understood the culture a bit better. And then they said they got a massive return on investment at the time. They love it here, as they do in Ukraine. So yeah, they're the kind of guys who are able to manage their revenues remotely, can spend a lot of time here, and not complete newbies to the region unless you're going to invest a lot of time to learn everything. Of course, that's where I have my clients, and streamline all that, save you just buckets of months and months figuring everything out. It's not just about the restaurant recommendations. That'll save you a few months probably at this point as well. And yeah, I just think that if you're coming here as a bit of a lost cause like Drifter Dan was, just expecting the Moldovans to throw themselves at you, and Moldovans in general just to be super excited to meet an American. Yeah, it's not going to be like that. But if you are a high-value American, even better if you speak the local languages, know local people are important, build up that social circle, or whatever social you want to hang out. It doesn't have to be people who are politically important or something. Then you can have a really good time here. I think for me, for the summertime, minus the fact that I really want to be in Odessa because I love Odessa, it's my favorite city, and it's got the seaside. This is a pretty good alternative, and even in the winter, because the winters aren't as harsh in terms of lack of sunlight as the Baltics, as I discovered. So that's what I'll say overall. Those are the kind of guys that can come. If you're interested in doing that with me, application form down below, either here or another city, or even to Ukraine, but obviously under different circumstances. And yeah, if you're a dating desperado, if you're obese, over 55, have no regional experience, can't get a date back home, this is definitely not the region for you. Or a passport pro who tends to be younger and looking for a place where women are desperate and the prices are rock bottom, also not the place for you. So, but they are barriers to entry here that actually make it better if you're higher value. So that's what I'd say about that. And anyways, it's just a very pleasant experience coming here to Moldova, I think overall. And I should re-emphasize, there are hardly any tourists here, so you don't have any of this over tourism or waiting for stuff, queuing, things becoming tourist traps. It doesn't happen because there's just aren't the tourists here. So that's bad for the Moldovan economy, but good for you if you come here. So let me just go to your questions and your points. So Wayne says, Buona Sera. I already said hi to him, yep. Buona Sera. And Luke there, hey Luke, says greetings from Montana. Good to see you back on the live stream, Luke. You were on one of my programs many years ago, one of my live, when I ran it live, I think my first one, and then you also invested in an upgrade offer to get access to my other stuff. I guess if you're interested in that, I don't, it's for guys occasionally on my mailing list, so make sure you're also on my mailing list. It's free. And you get notified. It's for my most loyal fans. Mark says, are you becoming a wino, drinking all that Moldovan wine? Yeah, it's hard. I mean, doing a lot of fitness, I should have said that about myself. And yeah, so you should be able to see the effects of that over the next maybe 6 months, as I've been working on it for slowly but surely. I changed things about 3-4 months back when I was still in Estonia. But yeah, I also drink a good bit of wine every day, to be frank. I had a few glasses last night and a few cocktails with my client. Well, I only have one. I had 2 glasses because after he went to the airport, I went past the wine bar that's normally closed, was open. There are a few lads there, Moldovan guys who I know, and they already had some champagne, so they invited me to join them. Another reason why I build up a social circle at 2 in the morning, you can get invited to kind of impromptu parties. So yeah, we've been drinking a lot of the amazing wine here. Привit, says Fyodor. Привit, jak sprawy. Moldova is very high on Luke's list. Awesome. Obesity is one of the main problems with Western women, of course. Yeah, it's just sad, but people don't look after themselves in the core Anglosphere, and that It's not the only part of the world. Also, many Arab countries have an obesity problem. So it's not just limited to the US and the UK or somewhere. And it also affects men. And you don't want to be. I mean, it's just so unhealthy. And it's because it's so unhealthy, it's also very unattractive. So whether you're a guy or a girl, don't be overweight and get a minimum amount of exercise and sport and eat correctly. Lip fillers don't age well, 100%. Mark says, are there any really guys out there who have a problem with paying for the date? Yes, Mark, you would be surprised, because maybe that's just the way you grew up culturally. I think, I watched one of these dating shows from Ireland once. One of these that are syndicated across different countries. I think it was called First Date or something. And there was really a cutoff point, like around my age. So I'm 46. It was kind of a gray area whether the guy would actually pay for the meal or not. Over 50, then for sure, that was the cultural norm. And younger than that, it was kind of like. Okay. And younger than that, did we just move down? It's noisy. And under 40 for sure, like there was no expectation the guy would pay. And over 50 there was an expectation the guy would pay, we'll put it that way. And then it was kind of gray area in between, this 40 to 45. So I said under 40, right, there was no expectation the guy would pay. And in fact, most women maybe would offer, but it was more out of politeness. He didn't even expect to be required to pay. So that's Irish culture, for example. And I've met guys traveling in this broader region have told me they've even been there with girls that they're just like this thing where they have to pay for everything. They don't agree with it, and it's not their culture, and they want a girl who pay 50-50. So that's pretty easy. Don't come to this region with any massive romantic expectations then. So different horses for different courses. That's saying just go where it makes more sense for you to be culturally. Having a coffee at the moment with my Luke. What wineries would be the best weekend getaway? Well, you're probably going to combine, Wayne, the accommodations. So I really like the one in Asconi. I also really like the one at Poiana, Vineria Poiana. I also like Purcar, etc. I didn't go to personally yet. That's one place. Maybe I'll try to sneak down there next weekend. Or maybe on the Monday. So maybe it'll be easier to get accommodation. I don't know. They might be booked in the summer. I don't think there's any difference in price between a weekday and a weekend normally at these vineyards. But availability will be easier on the Thursday than the Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So I want to check out the cheddar. Maybe I'll go to a vineyard next week. Maybe even live stream from it if I'm still here. So that's what I would say are the three best. You can also go to Curitiba. It has all the labyrinths underground. It's also quite nice. But I don't think there's a hotel there or a guest house. And Nilistinic also has the underground labyrinths, but I didn't really like it when I went. But I went in 2019 with my client at the time who came here. His mom was from Romania. The guy who married, well, he didn't actually marry, but he has a child with a Belarusian mom that I introduced him to on our in-person experience back in 2019, in January 2019, where I met her at a club. And now they have a child together. The child has been born yet. Anyways, it should be around now. I need to double check in. So, Adam says, Conor, do you think Moldova is good for settlement and work for old people and within budget? Yeah, the price level, it's like what I said, it's probably 30-40% cheaper than being in Western Europe or North America. It depends what kind of lifestyle you want to live, obviously. And if it remains politically stable, which is not 100% certain, but I think it would be a good place to retire in. If you want to retire around here and not, obviously Ukraine is not as attractive as it used to be. So I think you should just come here and check it out. Maybe it's good for you, maybe it's not. If it's not good for you like it wasn't for a drifter down, then you can move on and go to Turkey. Yeah, that's where he moved to. And now he seems to be in Romania. He sent me a video from Romania that really didn't seem that cool. So I don't know why he sent it to me. And if he's complaining about Chișinău, it was definitely looked more fun here in Chișinău. But let's see. How is Ukrainian chicks in Chișinău? Yes, there are many Ukrainians here, guys and girls who I meet. So yeah, what to say. They don't really stand out because unless they speak in Ukrainian together in a group. Otherwise, how am I going to recognize them? They don't look that different. Brandon, she says, yes, Brandon, you were in Lviv, I remember. And you commented, and I watched a little bit of your content. When I was in Ukraine, there seemed to be a lot of resentment there of Westerners. Okay, interesting. Maybe you can elaborate on that. I can always look. You have a YouTube channel, so I'll go and take a look at that. If anyone's interested in another foreigner's perspective on Ukraine, then go have a look at Brandon's channel. I'm not sure how you pronounce your last name. Is Oishi, maybe? He's collecting cans, is he? Yeah, there was someone going around collecting cans there. I think, well, it looked like that. Party like it's 1999. Yeah. So 55 is the cutoff age. No, I just said 55. I think as men, the research says like that between men peak on the dating market between 35 and 45. I would say actually you can extend that out to 50 just with as long as you're looking after yourself. I think over 50 it's probably going to start to come off in terms of options. But hopefully you can take care of yourself, keep raising your value and extend that on. So Mark says if he goes to Ireland and pay for the date with the lady, be impressed. Well, how old is she? If she's 55, she's going to expect it. If she's 25, she'll probably find it unusual, and that maybe she won't like it because she believes in quality and 50-50. But most women, I think, are fine if you pay for it in the end. There's no social expectation that you will pay though. If the woman is under 45. Luke says they still remembers a great wine shop in Minsk, across from Grand Kirkevi. Yes, I used to go there, yeah. Thanks for that awesome recommendation, Conor, yeah. Don't remember the name, but yeah, you could get the top Moldovan wines there, I remember. I got my Negru de Porcar, amazing wine. And now I can just buy it here in Chișinău because I'm already in the country. You can also get it in Ireland in the Moldovan supermarkets. Is Moldova only good in the summer due to emigration? So a lot of people leave here and some of them come back during the summer. It's true, I talked to two guys who were back from Western Europe. One is actually back from Canada, the other guy is back from Western Europe for holidays. So I just think in the winter you just don't have this amazing weather. Right? It's one of the biggest differences. It's just nice here during the summer. And yes, it's a bit quieter. But I think the nightlife at the two best high-end clubs, it's really good there during the winter. So, because there are limited options to go out otherwise. And it does have a reasonable amount of sunshine here. It's not like the Baltic states where I spent last winter and it really sucked during the winter in terms of sunlight. So I'd rather be here also during the winter. But, you know, maybe you want to go to Brazil during European winter, and I completely understand that. I used to do that a lot myself. Mark says it's not 55 yet. I was just wondering if that was cutoff age for dating Eastern Europe. Well, there's no cutoff date. It just depends on. You can date someone at 70, but they're probably going to be over 50 at that point if you're a guy and you're looking for a local woman. Today, local women. Yeah, so I guess if you're in your early 50s, your options are going to start to decline. So you won't have the same access going forward. I think that's kind of the takeaway. It's a generalization. But again, if you're high value, then you can have a bigger age gap that's important to you. Babushka territory, exactly. But you know, that's kind of almost what it's at with those matchmakers a lot of the time. That's what one of the disgruntled former clients of a matchmaker I have commented on in the past said. He said it was like babushka dating. But he was looking for a woman under 30. He was quite good looking. The question is, why was he ever a matchmaker? Oh, that was obviously a mistake. He eventually moved to the region and met his girlfriend, and they're still together there must be 2 or 3 years together. So he learned the local language, everything. That was the solution, which is what many of these guys who run the marriage agencies do anyways themselves. They actually just move to the region. And then they pitch you the women from the marriage agencies. Anyways, let's not talk about them too much. That's my mistake by bringing them up. I don't think they're particularly relevant to the content that I produce anymore. They're never in the region. So what could they tell you about Moldova or Poland or the 3 Baltic states? Zip nada. So And yeah, the kind of women that they're pitching, I basically wouldn't recommend them to most of my clients. You know, it's kind of, might be nice people in person, but yeah, not high value. So any thoughts on Curitiba? But he says the talent is as good as Rio. Worst diets in Brazil, even if a lot of Slavic countries. I think it's Curitiba in Brazil. It's an amazing city in terms of its nature. It's pretty safe by Brazilian standards. Not as safe as Moldova, but it's very green with lots of parks as well. And yeah, there is a bit more of an issue with overweightness and obesity there. Also a lot of tattoos. So if you're like me, you're not into that scene. Yeah, but there's so many top models that come to southern Brazil because on the outliers who look after themselves and go to modeling school, they go on to become world famous, like Gisele Bündchen, for example, who was married to Tom Brady. So maybe some of the Americans are, you know who she is. She's familiar to them. I have the Gisele Bündchen rule I used to talk about on my channel many years ago because I saw an interview where they're from, you know, when she was single before she met Tom Brady, so it's a long time ago, she said that she refused to go on dinner dates. Because obviously Gisele Bündchen is like, she's probably close to a billionaire, self-made at this point, but at the time she was obviously a very wealthy woman, and so she didn't need a free meal. And she said, yeah, it's awkward, maybe I don't like the person, I'm stuck with them for an hour doing this awkward thing eating. So she said coffee or cocktail, so I used to call it the Gisele Bündchen rule. So she get some very good advice from that point of view. So Curitiba, I had a blast there many years ago when I was last in Curitiba. Yeah, most people of European descent. A lot are from this region, we'll say from Ukraine or Poland. And but obesity and overweightness is a bit of an issue in Brazil. And in general, I think the general population often is not the best looking. It's like the outliers are amazing in Brazil. I watched some of the content from Swedish Gringo, he's based in Rio. So you can make your own mind up what you think. But yeah, when he's filming just the general walking around, there's a lot of people overweight in Brazil. It's very clear. So it's sad. People need to look after themselves better, health-wise. Mark says, come to America, please. Conor, no, I think I'll pass on that for now. Unless I have a really compelling reason to come. But I used to live in the States. But yeah, this is my region. I heard even go to Western Europe. I definitely should go to at least Western Europe for a couple of months to see, is it really as bad as people make out in terms of safety, and culturally and dating-wise. But I understand that there are at times safety issues. The guy last night was coming back from, I think it's Denmark, and yeah, he said he was so surprised about how much more petty crime there is there than here in Moldova. So there you go. So definitely there's, if you look at the statistics, I did a video on my channel, you can look at it, it's probably from late last year, where I talked about the difference in the petty crime statistics, homicide rates. Homicide rate is still very low in Western Europe. People talk about as if it's crime everywhere, but it's petty crime is more the issue, not like homicide, which is a big issue in the US, big issue in Russia. So just have to be a bit more specific. Wouldn't there be outliers amazing anywhere? Any reason to go there? Yeah, but in Brazil, man, there are outliers and there are outliers. So yeah, there's a reason why so many of the world's top models have been Brazilian, and so many of them are from a very small region in the south of Brazil. Are you concerned for your safety coming to America? No, I'm just not particularly motivated to go. It doesn't, there's no business reason to go, and then I find that here, if I hang around here all the time, like, then I can produce content, give you better insights. And obviously with the war in Ukraine, I have my second channel. The only reason to go to the States would be to just get that comparison and say, wow, I didn't realize that it was so bad. Or you guys are full of BS, it's actually pretty good. You're all making it up, making excuses. Yeah, so, but maybe Western Europe as far as I will go in the next year or so. But I'll be going to Kazakhstan, that's as long a trip as going to the States. But I have obviously professional reasons to be going there in that sense. Wow, a client wants to go, so we'll go and hang out there for, yeah, hopefully for a month. It'd be great to get a month back in Almaty and go head up to Astana. Mark says, I deserve you to come to America. There's a lot of Ukrainian diaspora chicks in America. I want to come to American shows so I can pick them up. Well, you can also see me do that in Warsaw in Poland. There's a lot of them there, or somewhere in the Baltic states. But yeah, I guess if that's where I'll head to little Odessa or little Ukraine, wherever that is, and maybe there's one in Chicago as well as in New York. If I ever have to go to the States. So guys, it's now 8:10 here local time. Let me know your thoughts and your comments. Whether you're interested in Moldova, remember down below is the link in the description to this live stream for the guide. It'll save you just so much time figuring out the right places are. Because especially if you come on a short trip, then it's kind of a no-brainer. And anyways, if you're coming for a few months, do you really want to have to go to all of them yourself? I mean, that's what I do. But even I find it a bit of a drag when I'm like, okay, there's another 10 places on this list, I gotta go eat and drink at them. So, obviously for the in-person experience, I had a client here already in Chișinău. If you want to come to Chișinău, I would encourage you to come before the end of the summer. Before the end of August, I will be in Ukraine. Mid-August with a client, so I guess I can fit it in, I will be, but I will really need to go back to Warsaw and to Riga pretty soon. I have another client who's going to come to both of those, but postponed it until at least the autumn. And yeah, I got Kazakhstan. And yeah, so hopefully I'll be going to all of the normal spots I'm going here. We look at, all right, I've already had a client here in Chișinău. I'll have one in Ukraine. We'll be going to Lviv and Kiev and probably actually to Odessa together. We're going to Almaty and Astana in the fall, in autumn. Going to be, so yeah, dates to be confirmed for Riga and for Warsaw, and possibly another client will want to come to the Baltics again, but I don't know, he didn't tell me what his dates are. But last time he came it was September, late in September, when he also came after that again to the Baltics. So application form down below. You can have me as your mentor. It will save you just a huge amount of time. You'll have an unforgettable experience. We'll party hard with uber beautiful ladies of the region, no doubt. You'll have me there with you in real time to correct any socializing mistakes you're making. We also discuss business. Increasingly, we're going to be discussing fitness. I did one client who was a client of mine who learned Russian the best, because that was the language he took. I mean, it was a lot easier to decide which language was the relevant one a few years ago. Now it's not so clear. It depends where you hang out. It might be Ukrainian, might be Polish. They won the Baltic languages, here Romanian. And he's also transformative in terms of fitness, but I'm still working at it. Work in progress, but getting there with my fitness goals over the next, being 46 as opposed to 26 takes a lot more effort to get yourself back in tip-top shape. But yeah, up to a point. I think Brandon, who left the comment, is a real fitness guy. That's not really my goal to be in his level of shape. I think the amount of commitment it takes, it's a bit too much, I think, for me in terms of return on investment. Or maybe I actually need to put in as much effort as him to get less results because of the age difference. I think he's in his mid-20s or something. So maybe I just think that because he puts in way more time, simply because he's in better shape, obviously. But maybe it's also a factor of age. Anyways, either way, you definitely will get a big boost professionally the better looking you are. So that includes your fitness. But there's a point where you have diminishing returns. I think a lot of the fitness gurus, they're gonna focus on that to that extent. But if it's a passion of yours, and you find especially a girlfriend who also is mad into fitness, then it can work, I think. Otherwise, you get a point where you just become too big as well, and it's actually a bit negative in terms of attracting women. So we'll be working on that. I'll probably do a video at some certain point about looks maxing, or different things you can do to improve your looks as a guy, kind of the metrosexual approach with the creams and stuff. And what other content? Maybe make a fitness video at some point when I feel I'm in a bit better shape than now. Yeah, within the next 6 months, I think, with the progress I'm making. I don't need to be, this is not going to ever become a fitness channel. So that is what's coming up. Also, as I said, the content from here. I have some business content from Moldova, also a vlog showing you my experience over the summer, hence why I need to hit up some of the last places. And we'll be going back to Warsaw to finish up that vlog that I started 2 years ago, plus one from Riga, hopefully, and also a video about traveling to Ukraine at this time, with obviously the biggest war in Europe since World War II. And I will also have some reaction videos that I just didn't film because we had the issue with the external hard drive. So once I have my editor back up and running on that, we'll produce the videos for that. I may even just film them when I'm back in Odessa, since I won't have so much to film there, since I don't film the stuff like the nightlife and all that. Stuff that goes on the restaurants, I'm saving that for when more guys want to come back to Ukraine after Ukraine's victory, because that's what it will take for this war to end. It will be a victory for one side or the other. So hopefully that never touches here in Moldova. And yeah, it'll be interesting when I get back to Odessa. I'm really missing the seaside. I'd say that's the big thing from here. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go and enjoy a very nice evening here in Moldova. You'll see the cathedral here in the center. You'll see all the kids out playing. Completely safe, no one is weirded out. You know, taking extra precautions. You do have a little bit of begging. I would say that's in the center, a little bit. But other than that, I really haven't seen anything that's more than a very minor public nuisance. In terms of crime, I've never heard of any of the foreigners getting robbed. Even the guy left. So like, people weren't rude to him, or you know, he didn't get beaten up or robbed or anything like that. So those kind of experiences are very rare here in Moldova nowadays. Economy is on the way up. Their trajectory towards joining the European Union, their candidate country, will take at least 5 years, probably closer to 10 in reality before they join, but they're on that path. And yeah, just it's a very optimistic place. That's what I love of being in this part of Europe. Just that things are quite peaceful, at least in this country, like in Ukraine, unfortunately, but not that that's the Ukrainians' fault. And yeah, it just suffers a lot. What to say? Could be in Saint-Tropez at the moment. Maybe that'll be something for next summer. Do a contrast video, head down to Saint-Tropez, show it what you can get. I do watch a lot of the girls who go down there on their Instagram, see what mischief they get up to. But that's, for me, is my favorite region. Just think the trajectory of the countries and their economies is heading upwards. I feel like you can avoid a lot of the madness. Some of the negatives of Western Europe. I don't even say Western Europe is bad. A lot of marketers say it's fallen, blah blah blah. And if you buy into that, you're probably a little bit not all there, to be frank, because there's no reason to believe that. But yeah, we don't have the woke nonsense, which I think is anyways declining as a problem in Western Europe and even in North America. And yeah, maybe the petty crime, but Ireland always have petty crime. People start talking about it's because of immigrants. I'm like, they always had an issue with petty crime. The immigrants, proportionally to their population share, commit a lot less of it than Irish people. So, as much as I love Irish people, especially for their wit, yeah. So also, we've got a bit of an issue of criminality. Who are the criminals in the US a century ago? The Irish, the Italians, and the Jews. So, yeah. What more needs to be said about that? But, yeah, weather, climate, natural food. Ireland can't compete with this here. Agriculture and the climate, and it just goes without saying, unless global warming makes Ireland very attractive in 30 years. And yeah, but economic development here is a lot less than it's going to be in obviously Ireland or somewhere else. Price property is a lot lower here, so if you want to buy property that will increase over time, this is a better bet. Also investing, better trajectory as well. Developing markets as opposed to mature markets, and just quality of life, depending on who you are. Even more so if you are a single guy, I think it's like, yeah. Because good luck inviting, you know, trying to persuade, say, your Irish wife and kids to move to Moldova. It'd be pretty hard to sell unless you've got some family history here. But if you come here as a single guy, you meet someone here in the region, then find life together, and yeah, it's a great region. You can either decide to spend part of your time back in your home country, or spend it all here in magical Moldova. So yeah, I'm gonna go and enjoy some Mama Liga, which is one of the traditional dishes here made from corn, and a great glass of Moldovan wine, a Polkar Pinot Grigio. That's normally what I have at my favorite restaurant. It's actually a Ukrainian restaurant, but they have a mix with the Bessarabian cuisine, and the Ukrainian cuisine is also seafood, so I'll enjoy that. So any last questions or comments? Anyone actually interested in coming to Moldova? Just thought it'd be good after a month to give you an update and the experiences of my client, the British guy who left, the Latinos who were here for a while. Moldovan won't come up and was upset that I encouraged low-value men to come to Moldova, which is not even the case. I tell the passport bros not to come, and I don't see, even if they did come and meet someone, I think that's a win-win for everybody. And yeah, what else did I touch on? Don't do online dating at all, I would say, almost at this point, if you're looking for any sort of quality. And definitely don't be one of those public nuisance scapegoat morons walking around making a holy show of themselves outside the train station in Warsaw. It's kind of embarrassing. But I don't think anyone who watches this really does that kind of malarkey. I use the word malarkey a lot, this Irish expression, for both the matchmakers and the day gamers. Damien writes, here that Albania and Montenegro may join the EU by 2030. Do you think this is likely? Montenegro is expected to join in 2028 because they are quite far along in their accession process, small country. I'd say it's a 50-50. If they don't join in 2028, it's highly likely they'll be in 2030. Albania will not be joining by 2030. It is too far behind it. Like normally these accession processes take well over 10 years. Albania became a kind of country, I can't remember when, but it's a decade off, I would say, after Albania. So I think to more 2035. Moldova, because it's small, will have Romania pushing for it to join. It's doing a lot of reforms. And there's a geopolitical reason, because once it's in the EU, it's kind of harder for Russia to attack. It's already anchored in Western institutions. And so that, but I think 2030, it's probably a little bit too tight for accession. Especially with Viktor Orban's Parks, he will try to block everything that is good for European countries, basically. For the purpose of that, I'm saying, we'll say that he's against everything that's good for countries in Central and Western Europe. Because Eastern Europe, the real Eastern Europe, is Russia and Belarus and other places under Russian influence that have bleak prospects, unfortunately, for now. Also Georgia. It's not a great setup there in the last few years. And there is a YouTuber who promotes the sovereign man concept and basically acquiring passports, who still keeps talking up Georgia. I don't know why. The government is basically captured by Russia at the moment. That ain't going to be good, judging by how it went for the other countries that got sucked back into Russia's orbit. So, especially with a new Cold War brewing, if they're on the other side of that new Iron Curtain, it's not going to be good for Georgia. And of course, if there's always be an outbreak of real war, never mind the violence that goes on in the streets, the protests, and what, if he's a citizen of that country, then yeah, he can even be called up for military service. So, not so sure I would be talking up those kind of passports. Same with Serb passport. I don't know why anyone gets a Serbian passport, because you still have that risk. Like you're obviously not acquiring it because you lived in Serbia for a long time, you really love Serbia, and you're willing to go and fight for the country. If you're one of those people, then it doesn't matter, fair play. Even if I mightn't agree with what are the likely reasons for the war, but at least you're willing and committed to it. These guys just think they'll acquire a passport because it's cool or whatever. They gave up their American passport, for example, and they get a Serbian one. It's like, yeah, good luck with that if they invade Kosovo and suddenly there's a war and you're a man of military age. You never know how things will pan out. Okay, final questions here. Hey Conor, is Chișinău, Moldova on a par with Bucharest, or is it significantly behind? Bucharest is a city of about 3 million, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it's way more developed, but it's also got a lot more terrible areas of Bucharest. I mean, I haven't been in them for 5 years, but or actually longer. But yeah, there were a lot of dodgy parts of Bucharest. But yeah, it's just economically more advanced. It's kind of, I didn't like the atmosphere in Bucharest in general. It's a bit more of an aggressive, cutthroat city where people come to make their fortune. And I just, yeah, you have I know, it's kind of a very nouveau riche and vulgar in Romania. When guys get money, or guys and girls get money, they kind of become a bit vulgar with it. It's not really so tasteful. I think it's more, like if I go to the electronic music parties here, they're way cooler than what I see in Romania. I don't really get it. I mean, there's a lot more money. But they do have the Untold Festival that will be in... They have big festivals that are good in Romania. I'll give them that. They have Untold. Okay, Luke says you're there in 5 to 10 years. Hopefully you're in person and enjoy the time. Okay, Luke, let's chat in due course about that. Sounds good. Yeah, Mark says he hopes I don't get a copyright strike with that music. It happened once in a live stream where I think there was a band playing and it can tell covers or something now on YouTube. Can you imagine with this? Even though there's a band playing in the background. Yeah, don't worry. The amount of AdSense that comes from these live streams is so small. I'm not sure if buy me my flat white. It's probably about the price of a flat white, so it'll be fine. If it happens, it happens. It'll cost me a cup of coffee. Yeah, the live streams, unless you have hundreds of thousands of viewers, they don't generate much income. But AdSense in general, for most people, unless you got a huge audience, isn't really the way to make money. So I see, yeah, I think that's the guys we're looking for. He's picking up the cans. He's back again. Oh, he's already been around. I'm on for 85 minutes. He's already here, so he's definitely doing the rounds. This guy, he's pretty diligent in picking them out. So, final questions. I might do another live stream when I'm back in. I will definitely do one back in Ukraine to show what it's like there. It's a public service, and I might do another one from Moldova if I'm on a Sunday at a vineyard, for example, or at the pool club maybe next Sunday. I'm not sure 100% I stay. I want to get everything wrapped up, but I am originally here with the citizenship stuff on Monday. Probably tomorrow if possible, but I guess it might be Tuesday, Wednesday before I finally get it sorted. But I don't want to be here in another week. It's like a never-ending saga. Yeah, so you're coming to Moldova, you know, in due course, right? Leave a comment under my videos about how you get on, or write me an email. Even better if you leave it under the comments. And again, guidebook for coming here is a no-brainer. It's down below. You can invest in that down below in the description to this live stream. There's a link to it. Also, the in-person experience. If you want my help in a consulting call, I had a consulting client, and I need to give him the reference for Kazakhstan actually as a follow-up. Yeah, the consulting call there about 3 or 4 days ago. The guy who's interested is actually in Almaty at the moment and interested to go to also the Baltics. So we discussed, you know, the differences, what he needs to do in Kazakhstan, and if he decides to, it's not for him, where he should go next. And yeah, so he gets the most out of his trip. It just saves him, hopefully, a lot of time, emotions invested maybe in the wrong place, and of course money. So also invest in that. My consulting services down below. And okay, maybe final question here. Thoughts on Belgrade? Awesome city, but as a man of 175 centimeters, felt so short there. You feel also very short in the Baltic states. So I'm also 178, and yeah, I mean, just guys are super tall there, and girls are tall. The average height in the Baltic states is 170, and amongst younger women, it's going to be higher than that. So just take that in mind. If you're maybe shorter to 172, 173, 174, this might want to consider a spot for you. I had a great time in Novi Sad because I had a better setup, and it was a student city, and it was a bit more also ethnically mixed. I don't know if that made a difference, but definitely the fact that it was a student city was cool. Novi Sad is in the north of Serbia. But Belgrade, I didn't really enjoy it so much. As a city, I went partying there a few times and hung out there. Maybe it's 3 or 4 over the years. And I don't speak Serbian, so I'm kind of in the position like a lot of you are when you show up. I just found it a bit difficult with Serbs. I didn't find them as friendly, as open. And women were attractive, but I didn't find it so open. I mean, in Belgrade. In Novi Sad, yes. Novi Sad, I had a great time. But it was more the student vibe. I was given a presentation also there at a conference. I had a little bit more status, and there were lots of language students, and it was about languages, the presentations. And one of the guys who's there is actually bisexual. He's quite a character, this guy. He now has a Serbian husband. But yeah, I partied with him, and he knew lots of local girls. So even though he was always open to them, yeah, your Irish boy took care of them basically on that trip. So it was kind of mad, the whole thing, because I woke up in his then boyfriend's apartment with one of their girlfriends in bed with me at the time. So they slept on the sofa. So just to dispel any rumors with respect to that. Yeah, so I had a great time when I was in Novi Sad, but yeah, Belgrade never really appealed to me as a city. I don't think it's a really nice city either, overall. Just not for me. And a lot of guys go there because it's been cheap, I think. But nearly everybody complains about it if you're a single guy about dating. So all my friends who went there, all my former clients who went there, especially with the invasion in 2022, a lot of them went to Serbia or to Montenegro, and they all complained about that. So yeah, it seems to be consensus is not really the spot if you're a single guy. Even if I have some very enjoyable memories from my time, especially in Novi Sad. What about Budapest? Also a place that just doesn't gel with me. I've been there a lot. Yeah, just culturally, I just don't relate to Hungarians very much, and I don't think Hungarians are particularly good looking, and they're not particularly open to me. So that's been my experience. Been there many times. My cousin is married to a Hungarian. I went to the wedding last year. It was in Tokaj, which is an amazing part of Hungary, really beautiful wine country, and fantastic wedding. It's just found it interesting because it should be 50-50 Hungarians and Irish at the wedding. The Irish would have to travel, but it was like 70-30 or 80-20. Just Irish families are so much bigger than Hungarian families. As a generalization, definitely in our cases. So yeah, some of my cousins, they actually studied medicine in Hungary. One of them is married to a Hungarian now, so it can work out. But again, he lived there for many years, even learned Hungarian to a certain extent. Also my other cousin did. So, and they're very, especially my other cousin, the guy who didn't get married, he was extremely into Hungarian culture, but he spent many years there. So yeah, I think if you go on a short trip like this British guy did to go to Budapest, he's already complaining about the dating scene and the nightlife. It's like, I already kind of figured that. So no, I don't like either of them. I think it's good to go to Budapest in a couple. I think it's a very, with a beautiful architecture, it can be a romantic place. I also didn't like the food there very much. Although when I was at the wedding, there was great food and wine. But this is a different part of the country. Tokaj is the name. Tokai, A-J, I think. That's spelled. Stephen is back. What's up, Stephen? Hey, Conor, coming again to Warsaw, October 10th, then to Chișinău. My friends really want to take me into Transnistria for the day. They all go together all the time. Do you still advise against them? Your embassy cannot help you in Transnistria. So at the moment, there isn't really any risk that they would detain you arbitrarily, but other YouTubers have been detained. They had their footage deleted, and I'm not interested in promoting somewhere that ostensibly is pro-Russian at this time, especially because it's located, on the Ukrainian border. So I'm just not interested in going there. But the chance something bad happened to you are pretty slim. I know that people have gone there. I'm just not interested. I just don't see the reason for me to go. I'm enjoying it here in Chișinău and the rest of Moldova. Fine enough. I don't need to go back to Transnistria. I've been there at least 30 times in the past. I never had a problem. And it was different times, obviously, before the 2022 invasion. No, you're not a fan of Belarus? I heard it got ruined by sex tourism. I had no idea. That best of Belarus has left. And in fact, my understanding is that the best of Belarusian foreign YouTubers in Belarus has also left. The fellow Irishman, Niall or Neil, Irish partisan, has left the building, has left Belarus. He made an announcement there a few days ago. So, and he actually left a comment. Someone sent me actually a screenshot, one of my clients who's interested in Belarus in the past because he's been there. And he sent me a screenshot of the comments below. And apparently, the other channel, run by a girl called Anfisa, she also does not appear to be living in Belarus anymore. I noticed, well, when it was sent to me, I went and looked at her Instagram, and it seems like she's in Düsseldorf in Germany. And she made videos from there. I'm from Japan. And very little content from Belarus. So there is a guy, Mix Guide, Andre. I dealt with him when I needed a visa for a client many years ago. And I actually met him in person, randomly actually, with a camera once. I think it was in Grodna back in the day. I think he's basically the only YouTuber left. There was a guy called Australian Belarus, but I think he left as well. So yeah, everyone leaves. And the young Belarusians also leave. The government announced that they plan to bring in, 200 or 300,000 Pakistani workers to replace the Belarusians that left. Yeah, that's just very sad what's going. Russia's planning to do the same. At least some of their officials said they plan to bring 1 million Indians now to replace all the men they sent to lose their lives or be invalided, trying to kill Ukrainians and steal their stuff. So yeah, very sad. I don't feel sorry for Russians personally, but for Belarusians I do. Yeah, South West Belarus is not worth going to, basically. And I've told a couple of people have been there, disappointing, because there isn't much going on. Most of the cool bars and clubs that you can look at my old videos from, they were even closed down. Not all of them, but most of them. So yeah, their owners had to decided to leave before they got thrown in prison. Which happened to some of them. Let's see. What's a sponsor? Is that like a sugar daddy? Yes. So I work for a sugar daddy. Are young Belarusians able to leave so easily? My understanding is yes. It is possible to emigrate to Lithuania and to Poland pretty easy as a Belarusian, as long as you're not connected with the government or something on your file or your background that says that you shouldn't be allowed into the European Union. So, but they don't want so much people being able to come as tourists and then go back to Belarus. They want people who are either going to leave the country, so, or they can film. Istanbul Airport is great for connecting flights. Yes, Istanbul Airport is one of the best airports in the world, for instance. Definitely way better than Chișinău Airport. Chișinău Airport is a bit of a disaster. So, hopefully you'll only be there for a couple of hours on your way in and out. That's it, the airport here. Don't be planning to spend 5 hours at the airport to enjoy yourself in Chișinău. That's something you do in Istanbul. All right, final comments, final questions. I'll give it another 30 seconds to some of you who just joined. We're up to 96 minutes. I'm going to, what time is it? It's only 8:35. It's just sunset here. Am I using the free Wi-Fi? No, I'm using the internet on my phone. I pay 100 Moldovan lei, which is a little bit over €5. I think it's €5.10. So we'll say $5 and 60 cents for my internet and phone calls. It's not unlimited, it's 50 gigabytes. So I don't even think there's a time limit on that, but I burn through so much at the moment. So yeah, something like this, what I've been talking, I know it's going to be at least 5 or 6 gigs probably, because the live streams are very heavy on data. Private bedroom included for business class now. Just saying hi. Got the great red shift as well tonight. Okay. Hello. See Lance. Here in Ukraine, will they have Wi-Fi? Yeah, in some places there's some free Wi-Fi, but yeah, I don't know. Like the internet is so good. I guess in Ukraine, in places it's not so good because Russia blowing up the infrastructure, but occasionally. But here the internet, just sitting in the park on my phone is so good that we wouldn't really bother with free Wi-Fi unless it was really necessary. Josh says that the RMO, which is the new international code for Chișinău Airport, is great if you enjoy sitting or sleeping on the floor. Yeah. Fortunately, you had very little time there last night, Josh. You basically, I guess, showed up with half an hour to spare, for check-in. Noah says he just joined us, but pleasure watching your channel. What content you soon to meet up, which is the best? Based on your opinion, we'd have to discuss that, Noah. So down below there's a series of links, and apply for the New Europe experience, the in-person experience, and then I'll come back to you and we can discuss if I think it's a good fit for us to work together on where that city might be. If not, we can discuss in a consulting call if it's not a good idea for us to do this together, and I can direct you so you can do it yourself. Luke says he always will bring a portable battery when filming outside. Yeah, filming outside or streaming outside. Yeah, the iPhone will last. It was pretty well charged beforehand. All right, so I give a going twice on final comments and questions. We're almost up to 100 minutes. I didn't do a live stream for a month, so, and I didn't have any new videos for a month, but we'll be correcting that in the next month or two. And a lot of exciting content from here in magical Moldova. So, going twice, final comments, final questions. Okay, I think that's a wrap for this evening. Mulțumesc, which is thank you in Romanian. O seară plăcută. Have a pleasant evening. And la revedere, goodbye. We will catch each other on another live stream or maybe in person if you're living the in-person experience with me in the next few months, or in a consulting call we can chat, or at the very least you can read the guide, the Moldova guide down below. There's also a guide there for Ukraine. I have the Ukrainian one if you're going to neighboring Ukraine as well. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. Have a fantastic Sunday morning, afternoon, evening. Maybe it's already into early Monday morning where you're watching this. Couple cherry jaws, and we'll catch you soon. Ciao, ciao from Chișinău, Moldova.